All right, what's up, guys? We're back. We're live. For those that made it, how many people made it? Let's see, 10 people? Let's take a look. How many people made it over here? I don't even know. It wasn't updated. Oh, 695. Okay, that's cool. That's good. That's good. If you guys could hit the like button again, I'd appreciate that. I'm going to relaunch this too on Rumble and some of the other places. I just want to kind of chill, have a little fun, maybe. I think this might be fun. I haven't watched this yet. This is Piers Morgan, Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, Milo Yiannopoulos. All drama. It's been nonstop. If you go on X, if you've been on Twitter, that's the only thing you see all over the place. Is this the nuclear civil war between the right wing? All right, so let's launch it.
Crowder, who wrote on our YouTube channel how to not conduct an interview 101.
This is what legacy media has done. You can't compete. Look, you're still following the same format, and so there, accusing someone young of being racist is a win.
You know, we had Milo Yiannopoulos on, which generated quite a bit of controversy, and I had people criticizing me for hosting him.
Nick is a kind of chameleonic character. I couldn't tell you an opinion, aside from hating Jews, that if he has on Tuesday, he will absolutely for sure still have on Thursday.
Call me what you want.
That's kind of true, though. Somewhat. He is kind of flip-flop a lot, I think, Nick Fuentes. But I think he's making himself a little bit more marketable to the bigger, even though he has a huge audience, to the other extended audience, to see more palpable, absorbable Huggies, diaper, Pampers, I don't know.
Go down that rabbit hole. Whatever.
Completely missed the mark. For me.
The most damaging thing done, of course, was the murder of Charlie Kirk. And now the second most damaging thing we're looking at is Candace Owens burning down everything he built.
Charlie Kirk's friends and followers were united in grief and horror by his murder, but in the months that have followed, that unity has collapsed into a bruising and incessant battle over what they stand for and why. It's Israel v. Qatar, MAGA v. MIGA, Candace v. Crowder, Tucker v. Shapiro, grifters v. Groypers, and on it goes. One major flashpoint has been the conspiracies about Charlie Kirk's killer and allegations about Turning Point USA itself, which Charlie's widow, Erica, responded to earlier this week.
Come after me. Call me names. I don't care. Call me what you want. Go down that rabbit hole. Whatever. But when you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no.
Well, one of the influential people with very strong views on this matter, among others.
And if you guys don't know, Candace had said previously in the past, and I've posted multiple, or I've reacted to it, but she said that if Erica Kirk tells her to stop, she'll stop. And of course, she hasn't stopped, you know. And I have to try to give some commentary and pause to hopefully not have any problems.
Is Tim Pool, CEO of Timcast Media, who joins me now. Tim, welcome back to Uncensored. We're going to come to a really appalling incident that happened at your home. You reported this yourself in a few moments. But first of all, what is going on here with Candace Owens and Erica Kirk is causing a lot of consternation to a lot of people. You finally, it looked like to me, had enough and went pretty nuclear about this. Why does it matter to you so much to do this?
Well, the simple answer is that there was a coalition that was built by many people with. This coalition had many different political views, but it largely coalesced around a populist pro-America movement. I myself grew up very liberal, very Democrat, and like many others, found ourselves more likely to vote Republican because we saw the Democratic Party as drifting away. One of the most powerful voices in uniting all of these forces was Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA. I don't completely agree with everything Charlie said, nor Turning Point USA, but Charlie invited me and many others to debate those ideas. Even Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks was invited to come and speak at AmFest because Charlie understood only when we come together and have these conversations can we actually make this country better. Well, he was murdered, and it puts all of this coalition building in jeopardy. And this movement to try and help this country with not one singular political ideology, but many that overlap. And the most damaging thing done, of course, was the murder of Charlie Kirk. And now the second most damaging thing we're looking at is Candace Owens burning down everything he built,
Burning it
and now
down
having
to
the
hell.
gall to go after his grieving widow and his children, indirectly threatening their livelihoods, what Charlie built. It's a bridge too far. She's said many things that were increasingly, let's just call it, unhinged. And then finally one day she said, pull your donations from this godforsaken organization, with a direct implication in her post saying that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by Turning Point USA, even saying in one clip that his friends would have had to have signed off on his murder. It seems like there is no depth too deep and no bridge too far for her to benefit her career and her show. She would even go after those who loved Charlie the most. And I have no problem with people questioning the official government narrative or what the FBI thinks, but claiming there's Egyptian planes flying around in Utah time, which he was incorrect about, claiming that these planes are landing at airports or black SUVs are pulling into federal buildings where it just so happens her lawyers also work, it has just come to the realm of nonsense.
That's crazy too. That's crazy too. Her lawyers work. What are they saying in this office?
Claiming that these planes are landing at airports or black SUVs are pulling into federal buildings where it just so happens her lawyers also work. It has just come to the realm of nonsense. The U.S. military, she claims, is now involved in his murder. She has turned the very tragic murder of Charlie Kirk, and she has turned this political movement into a reality drama, true crime show.
That's exactly what it is, man. This shit is so crazy, and I can't stop watching it either and following what the hell's going on with this mess. It is truly a mess. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's Candace.
Where she treats us all like characters in a fictional show. And,
Lost.
You know, I think it's just gone too far.
You know, I'm due to have her on next week on Uncensored. I've interviewed her numerous times over the years and, you know, get on with her perfectly well. But I had a big set to with her about the Brigitte Macron thing, where I genuinely felt that she just completely concocted this whole narrative that Brigitte Macron was a man and then built a whole kind of conspiracy theory story.
What do you guys think about the Macron thing? Do you guys, let me put a poll in the chat. Do you think Brigitte Macron, do you think that really is really a man? Brigitte. We put it in the chat, Brigitte. It's kind of almost besides the point too with all this shit, really, but we'll do it anyway. Do a little poll in the chat. All right, fuck it.
Around it, and was doing it purely for attention, clicks, and money. And it ended up with us having a $300,000 bet to charity. My bet being that Brigitte Macron, who mothered 3 children, is a woman. But even if it's proven, and because of course the Macrons are now suing her, even if they win, it seems to me that Candace has got herself into a place now with, you know, her surging following, that even if the Macrons win the case and they prove that Brigitte Macron is a woman, which she is, Candace will just claim another conspiracy theory. She'll probably say it wasn't Brigitte Macron who took the sex test or whatever it is they do to establish the truth.
I literally said out the other day, these people always push the goalposts. So even if she did do some whatever, they're going to say somebody's in on it, the testing place isn't on it, somebody else took the test for
and
her.
so on. In other words, there's almost no way to turn these taps off, right? If you're intent on monetizing conspiracy theories, particularly if you have concocted them, and I'm going to ask her directly on our next interview, are you just making this stuff up, right? Because that's what many people think. It's very hard to see how you stop it in the modern world.
I completely agree. And, you know, as you mentioned at the beginning of this interview, the shooting that took place at my property, and this is not to shift on to me, but this makes a good example of what her audience is looking for. And
what happened? So just explain to people who don't know what happened to you.
So it was late Friday into Saturday morning. So this is between midnight and 1 a.m. A vehicle slowly approached our property here at Timcast and opened fire. It appears to have been driving just below this relatively low the speed limit. It slowly comes in line with one of our buildings, fires a shot, speeds up, lines itself up with our studio, fires 2 more shots. This took place between midnight and 1 a.m. Saturday morning. Our security company, our security guards immediately registered them as gunshots, called the local sheriff, the police. They came out, cleared the incident, took a report, and left. I learned about this at the time, but not entirely clear what had exactly happened. The next day, we reviewed security footage, and oh yeah, this vehicle pulled up. It fired these shots. We're pretty flustered. We're actually going to be leaving this location because even with security, a fence, a perimeter, these things are getting out of hand. Now, this happened. It's terrifying. Following this, Candace has been apparently accusing me of fabricating the whole thing. And a man on the internet, some random guy, calls the wrong police department.
And we covered that the other day. There was some guy, and I posted the video on the clips page here. There was some guy that he called. I had a feeling. I said maybe he called the wrong police department or something. He called the wrong sheriff's place, and they told him, no, we haven't heard of that call.
Says we have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It then goes viral among these people who follow Candace that the police said no such event happened and they have no idea what Tim Pool is talking about. And they say that proves it. However, journalist Cameron Higby then contacted the correct department who said, Higby, yes, we have this police report on file. This happened. We came out, we cleared, etc. And then they said, Cam is now lying. So even when he...
And by the way, Cam Higby, he went to the White House. They had that whole meeting with all the reporters, I guess, the independent reporters. Cam Higby also is beefing with Candace because she started attacking him because he questioned somebody at the security intelligence place, and they were like, "Oh, have you heard about this assassination attempt?" And they're like, "No." And so she was pissed off about that. So her audience is kind of like turned on Cam Higby, and she's also alluded to she thinks Cam Higby is gay, and so there's all this beef going on, and so yeah,
he shows the phone call where they say, "Yup, this actually happened." They say he's lying. Now we have TMZ confirming the police report in question, and they're still saying I'm lying. So a random guy calling the wrong police department proves I lied, and an actual statement from the police saying, yes, I filed this, our security company filed this report, and another journalist verifying it, 2 journalists, 3 actually, that's never enough for them. So we did, for on the uncensored portion of the show last night, play some of the audio of the shooting. But the reason we can't release the footage is that it shows the layout of our property, the location of our security implementations, potentially personnel, and that would compromise our already compromised security. So what I've said is perhaps once we are officially out of here, which may be in about a week or so, then upon reviewing it with security, we will release that footage. But we have already released audio for those. Her audience doesn't care. They want to believe the drama reality that Israel is paying everybody, that I'm secretly funded by insert random deep state organization, because we are characters in a drama she is producing, a reality TV show, a whodunit, and stay tuned for the next episode to see what comes next.
I mean, I don't listen. Until I talk to her myself, I'll hold my fire about the credibility of any of the stuff she's coming out with at the moment. I certainly have no reason to disbelieve you. I messaged you on X when I read what had happened because I thought it was appalling, particularly appalling in light of what happened to Charlie Kirk. You know, if this carries on, if public figures in this space of talking about politics and issues in the news and so on become legitimate targets in people's eyes for assassination, then it's hard to think of a worse suppression of free speech and democratic society. What do you think is happening here?
I think people are being driven insane by the internet. I think that, if you take a look at YouTube, the question is, why has YouTube announced they were banning flat earthers, not necessarily banning, but they were going to suppress this kind of...
They were going to suppress the content. It did a massive wave of suppressing this content. People that were into conspiracies and talking about conspiracy
content that claims there's an ice wall surrounding the inner continents or whatever, the flat earth. They're going to suppress climate denial and all of these things. And there's a question over where that line of free speech is and when you should be allowed to talk about conspiracies. But they banned Alex Jones, they banned Nick Fuentes, and one can make the argument that these individuals may have been more hateful, and that was why. The question becomes, why is Candace Owens, with all of her theories on the front page, propped up, promoted to many individuals, despite her saying things like she's not a flat earther or a round earther, she's left the cult of science, saying things like Bridget Macron is a man? These things are outlandish, But for some reason, YouTube and many other platforms seem to be completely okay with what she's doing, not okay with what others are doing. This, I think, it's bringing people to a state of paranoid delusions. We had a show on my Culture War podcast with some psychologists and psychiatrists, and I asked them, we understand that there could be mental illnesses, that someone's brain is not firing properly, and thus they're going to believe things or see things that aren't there. But what do you call it when someone comes to believe a false version of reality because they were convinced of it by writings, literature, movies, or otherwise? And they said that's just still paranoid delusions. There are now people that believe the French legionnaires, the French Foreign Legion, Israel and the U.S. military have a hit squad out, and they're going to take out prominent personalities, and it's just become a paranoid delusional state. Egyptian planes around every corner. This is driving people to a state of violence. And it's not just this. There's the general political disagreement and hyperpolarization, but this is a very serious component of it. I don't know if there's an answer. I'm not saying anyone should be censored or banned. I think the answer is sunlight is the best disinfectant. And more people are coming out and criticizing the absurdities of what Candace Owens has been saying. And I think that actually may end up being the best disinfectant.
Tim, you said on your podcast, Timcast, that the attacks on you, actual shooting that occurred, that because of the extra security costs you're having to take on just to protect yourself and your family and your employees, that this could end your business.
So I didn't say that it would end the full business outright. We have several shows. We have other shows that are not hosted by myself. The issue is that to host a show where we bring people in every day, we give it our address 4 or 5 times to various assistants and people, makes it relatively easy for people to figure out where we are. And then you have the general security costs of keeping bad people out. We've had run-ins with creepos. We've had stalkers. A man approached the property once saying he was sent by God to speak to me.
Shit.
And we have to pay men to come out here with guns and make sure these people don't get in. Now we have extra added costs following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which means as a normal media business, we have advertisements, we have sponsors, we have paying members, and we do very, very well, even with our general security costs. Now we have to reassess, can we do the show here if they're opening fire on us? How do we secure against things like drive-by shootings? And there's actually no way you can unless...
You got to hire the hood, man. Maybe you got to get some gang members. Oh, because they'll probably rob you after. You'll pay for their services and they'll protect you and then rob you after probably, or send friends to rob you after. But he's saying they do well because Candace was saying, Tim Pool is doing this because he's having financial troubles and hardships.
You restructure where you're doing work out of. One recommendation was a penthouse in, say, somewhere in Florida or something like that, because then no one can get in there. No one can actually shoot at you. The issue now is...
Shit, that's true. You got to be up in the sky. I like that idea.
Following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the credible death threats that we have received, we are looking at a new artificial cost to do business, and that is high-profile security at our location. This can cost...
Or you could just do Zoom.
Cost upwards of $2 to $6 million per year, depending on how extensive.
Wow.
I mean, I believe you already know this. I imagine you deal with it similarly. And it was reported that Barry Weiss has to spend, $10,000 per day for her bodyguards. As a media business, it's totally fine. We can handle the cost of cameras and staff and doing the show, and we all do fairly well. But now you add on the need for 24/7 bodyguards and multiple bodyguards, and that's money we don't have. So this means that Timcast IRL, our nightly show with guests who physically enter the property, we may have to reassess and restructure. That could mean we can't afford to do business this way. My family can't afford this. And especially with the increase in political violence going into a midterm year, we have to reassess the most appropriate way for me to do shows, which means maybe I go into more of a solo slot like I do in my mornings, and we don't do shows that are physical. That's a possibility. We're also having emergency meetings with our partners to figure out a way to, we're looking at economies of scale. Where can we bring in all the personnel?
Okay. I want to hear about...
They are willing to accept, because it is cult-like zealotry among people who don't want to believe this is reality.
Tim, I just want to ask you, just before I let you go, just because you've had an experience with this, I just interviewed Nick Fuentes and it blew up massively online. I'm not going to ask you about the interview. I just want to ask you one question, because you interviewed him with Ye, and they walked out and so on. This debate about whether you should platform, whether I should platform people like Fuentes, what do you think about that?
We had Milo Yiannopoulos on, which generated quite a bit of controversy, and I had people criticizing me for hosting him. I think it's sunlight being the best disinfectant. We have to be robust and prepare in our ideas and be prepared for these debates. I actually think you did. It is good work that you've done in hosting.
Thank you so much, Christopher. What's up, man? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. I hope you're doing good. I appreciate your continued support, man. Thank you.
Nick Fuentes, I think people should interview and challenge him. And I know that you're facing, I don't know what the right word is for it, but people are certainly coming after you now in a negative way because you are willing to do so. I think Steven Crowder did a good job. If you want to interview Candace, Tucker, Milo, Nick, anybody, I think it's appropriate, and this is what we should be doing with these debates and conversations. So I applaud you for doing so.
Paul, good to talk to you. And
Milo, I want to see what Milo has to say. This guy's crazy.
Welcome to Uncensored. Milo.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I remember the Bill Maher thing. I remember the fallout from that. Now, when you look back at that, Milo, when you see what's happening with Nick Fuentes, do you feel that you were like at the start of all this, that you were partly responsible for all this? How do you feel about it?
I certainly feel as though it looks a little similar to when I was speaking at Berkeley and giving journalists conniptions. But I think there's something very distinctly different about me and somebody like Nick Fuentes. We've moved quite dramatically in America toward a sort of, I would call it something like an epistemological crisis. 10 years ago, we had positions. There were people with intellectual hinterlands who had opinions and who were consistent in their political beliefs. I don't think Nick Fuentes really believes in anything at all. And I think it's partly a result of the press spinning out of control to attack Donald Trump. There are all kinds of etiologies for it. But I think it's quite a different moment we're experiencing now. And I think he's quite a different phenomenon.
I mean, I interviewed him at length and put to him a number of more controversial things that he said. He doubled down on most of it. He unashamedly said he was racist. He explained why he was racist in a very racist manner. He was blatantly misogynist and unashamedly so. He kind of hedged round about Holocaust denial, but I suspect, as some people have said since, he was playing a sort of arch satirical game with me about that, so that he could say later he didn't really mean it. How much of what is going on with him is performative? How much of it, you know him, you used to hang out with him and Ye and others, how much of it is real? How much does he really believe?
Well, I tried to befriend Nick because I wondered if there was anything to save there. And so I became, I suppose, something like a mentor to him for a couple of years. And it turned out that there really wasn't. He's a person who just wants to hurt people, and I couldn't find, it was like nailing jelly to the wall. I couldn't find any consistent or substantive kind of core to him in any way. Nick is a kind of chameleonic character in media. On one day he'll go on a podcast hosted by an African-American who has rappers on, and he'll say, oh, I love immigrants. I know illegal immigrants. No, they're not bad people. And then he'll come on with you where he feels he's on surer ground, and he'll sort of do the smirking, double down kind of mischievous routine. He's a very gifted speaker. He's obviously got very high verbal IQ. He's a very charismatic person. But having observed him and having known him for a little while and been on the receiving end of some of his worst behavior, he's something distinctively different, as I mentioned before, from the provocateurs of a decade ago and the decades before that, in that he is, I think, emblematic of Gen Z, really, in being quite a pure and sort of terrifyingly pure nihilist. And really, I couldn't tell you an opinion, aside from hating Jews, that if he has on Tuesday, he will absolutely for sure still have on Thursday. And that can't be a good thing.
I mean, you mentioned that you're the son of a woman, your mother, who was born in Germany, who was Jewish. I suppose it begs the question, knowing how apparently anti-Semitic he is. I mean, he's constantly attacking Jews, constantly accusing Jews of running the world in a malevolent way and so on. Why would you want to hang around with someone like him? And indeed, Ye, for that matter, who then began spewing anti-Semitic content.
Well, Ye is in a completely different category. I mean, Ye is a generational, a genius. I mean, he can speak for himself. He doesn't need me to speak for him. These two people are in completely different categories. I think that maybe to British ears, some of the discourse in America can sound really just baffling and horrifying and hateful. And it's important to understand what's really going on. Whereas 10 years ago, we were sort of saying things to be mischievous and naughty, provocative, and to push the boundaries, that now has sort of evolved into a less ironic kind of I guess you call it an equal opportunities
equal opportunity. I think let's do this. Damn, Piers Morgan literally brought on a gay drug addict, allegedly Milo, to cry about Nick Fuentes. Milo's been hating Nick Fuentes for a long time. Let's just look at some of the clips. I want to see some of the clips. I don't want to sit here for the whole shebang-a-lang. Shoot. Clips. I mean, I'll leave this open where we left off at, because I do want to see maybe some stuff, but man, I got time for this bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
It's like you're a Catholic. We were talking about this. You said you'd be happy to talk about it. What do you think is going to be fruitful in attacking a celibate Catholic for not getting laid?
Have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow, says the guy who's never got laid. I didn't attack him.
You're driving people into his arms.
I didn't attack him.
He said he needs to get laid.
I think he does.
That's a heresy.
I think he does. I think he's an incel.
So you advocate heresy.
I think I perfectly understand. If you're a devout Catholic, which I'm not, if you're a devout, I was brought up a Catholic and I was given spiritual guidance by Catholic nuns, and a lot of my family are very devout Catholics. I'm not particularly, but I still adhere to, broadly adhere to Catholicism, albeit there are parts of the teachings I don't agree with. So that's my position on it. But I can understand if he'd said to me, the reason I've never had sex.
Then why bring it up, Piers? Why is it relevant whether he's been laid or not? Because I said in my interview specifically, just so you know, I'll answer for everything I say. When I interviewed him, I said,
well, surely he has to. Well, let me not say that.
I hate it when people use something that should be seen.
I wonder if he's NoFap, though. Because I feel like NoFap does give superpowers, but it could also make you irrational. But I think for men, it does give you like ridiculous, crazy superpowers. I wonder if he's doing NoFap, but there's no way he made it. He's almost 30. No way he's NoFapping and no sex.
As a virtue,
no way.
As an attack. Out of all the views, if you view them as reprehensible, and I, by the way, strongly disagree with a lot of Nick's views, the least relevant is whether he's celibate as a devout Catholic. That's like a good thing, and so you actually give him the moral high ground.
Actually, had he said
my
to me,
dad out of it.
Yeah, but hang on, you're putting up a better defence, if I may suggest, than he did, because had he said to me, I'm a devout Catholic, and the reason I haven't had sex is because the Catholic Church forbids that and says you should be married before you have sex. Perfectly reasonable answer. That's not what he said. He never said that at all.
So you didn't do your research, because he said that literally dozens of times.
He may have said it elsewhere. He didn't say it to me. I only asked him about that stuff because there is a view that he is what they call an incel. And that he whips up that kind of mentality. And that's why he's such a misogynist about women and so on. It's an interesting thing to ask him. He seemed to me quite happy to answer it all. He was quite emphatic in his answers. Fine. I didn't see that as an attack. I was joking about getting laid because it seems to me he's a very angry guy.
Can I jump in for a second here? Because this is where I think this is important, right? His audience will. People out there, by the way, some who are voluntarily celibate because they're devout Christians, but also if you look at the dating pool out there, I don't think it's misogyny to say, I wouldn't date one of those young women if they were growing on my ass. And they're actually out there living in a world that's been created. They will identify you as someone who's helped create that, right? Someone who says, I don't care if the UK no longer looks white. I don't care if we lose our cultural identity. Hey, it's great, women's rights. And they're looking at their prospects. And when you say, hey, you're celibate or whatever it is, you haven't gotten laid, you're an incel. Guess what? You give him the moral high ground. When you say, hey, what about your dad? And he asks you, and I will say, he asked pretty respectfully, don't do that. You go on 6 more times.
Piers Morgan. Let me see what else they said here. Milo.
Loathing for everybody in the forms of people like Nick Fuentes. But, I got to say, I don't have that much of a problem with a lot of what he says when he's talking about. I mean, when you were sort of incredulous about.
He's Candace Owens' lapdog. He's just kissing her ass, hoping to get on her good side. That's all he's doing.
His misogyny. I felt it actually was a little unfair to him because, 10 years ago, we were talking about how men were getting left behind, how women were overtaking them at university, how, the world had suddenly, bafflingly, and very, very abruptly become quite a hostile place to be a man. That situation has not gotten better. And so I think his generation's hostility toward women is, lamentable, but very understandable. And, when he comes to talk about, what he would call Jewish power, there is a discussion to be had there that has not been had for a very long time because people have been, spooked or intimidated or threatened into silence because of an event 75, 80 years ago, which has been, weaponized against, I think, legitimate debate about, for instance, what the state of Israel is up to. I think it's really good. I mean, and I got to tell you, I really give you a lot of credit for breaking with the establishment on Israel, and coming out with the opinion that you have, which I think is the correct one. But it was very difficult up until about 5 years ago to speak plainly and honestly about some of the most appalling behavior of the Israeli state, because you knew what was going to happen. You knew what you were going to get called. And I do think there's some value to having a character like Nick. I'm not a fan of Nick's, but I do at least see some positive benefit in, if you like, the wreckage he's left behind.
But the problem is that his groypers, his fan club, all the abuse that spewed my way since I did the interview was entirely predictable. But I've been really struck, not just by how blatantly misogynist and violent it is about women, and I don't really accept the defence that, men have been treated badly. I've been leading the charge for young men to be treated better, for the man bashing to stop and so on. It doesn't mean at the same time you have to just belittle and demean women or say they shouldn't be allowed to vote or shouldn't be allowed a job or they're going to get old and fat and ugly and they're all annoying. I mean, that's not about defending the male position. It's about just demeaning and belittling and attacking women, which is, to me, grotesque. But I think in terms of
it does look ugly, but you have to understand it in the context of a very heavily feminized society. I mean, we have speech codes in the workplace. We have exams rewritten to favor girls. I mean, it's not just that women are pulling ahead in university. I mean, women really have engineered the world against men. And I'm not saying that I like the tone that some of these Zoomers take, but do I understand it? I sure do. I really do understand. A 22-year-old guy today has no realistic prospect of building a life for himself, and no path to being a patriarch, no path to being a husband and father that he can plausibly see. So they're dropping out, they're getting hostile, they're getting bitter. Do I get it? I'll be honest with you, I do. I do understand it.
And what about his racism? He just admitted, I'm a racist, and then explain why. He doesn't want to be walking around near black people and so on. I mean, he articulated perfectly what it is to be a racist, where you want to be away from people because of their skin colour.
Feels a little bit? Don't you think everyone feels just slightly like that? Maybe he's an extreme case in the wake of George Floyd, and perhaps their frustration is with the white liberals that made it happen, or whatever. But I mean, there is a phrase. I hope it's okay that I use a safer version of the word. There's a phrase in America at the moment, Negro fatigue, and
what he said, nigger fatigue, Negroid or something. What?
Version of the word. There's a phrase in America at the moment, Negro fatigue, and it is used to describe people just being sick of hearing about black people this, black people that, black people complaining in the wake of George Floyd, which was just the most grotesque absurdity and an offence to common sense and to decency.
Do you think it's acceptable? Do you think it's acceptable and decent to use a phrase like the one you just used?
I don't think there's too much wrong with what
I think he should have had them all debating. I think he should have had Milo and Tim Pool and Steve and all of them going back and forth. And then he should have had an episode with Milo and Nick Fuentes and let them hash at it. That would have been, that would have been explosive, maybe.
I certainly don't wake up in the morning glad that the world is more full of hate. I'm a Catholic, so the most important thing to me is not.
So why would you use a phrase like the one you just used? If you don't want to fuel that kind of thing,
well, I don't think.
Why would you use a phrase that is so inflammatory?
Well, there are much worse versions of that. I was using a sanitized version out of respect for your program.
I doubt the average black viewer watching this, or African American who hears about that, is going to see it that way.
I think they'd rather be called what I said than have somebody who than have white people kind of tied up in knots, not even sure whether they should call them African American or black, because these things are sort of,
Well, they said color's offensive. I remember one time, I forgot what video I did, and someone was like, "You said colored?" Because I don't even know what to call people anymore. I don't care what you call me, Latino, black, color, whatever. I don't even know what's the term anymore that they say it's acceptable.
Used as a sort of ever-changing linguistic weaponry against what one race in society. Look, I mean, you can get waylaid and go down on a tangent about that if you want. What I was trying to explain in an anthropological way, it was explain to you, how people are feeling in America, and it's not just 22-year-old far-right racists that feel like this. It's not.
Well, what I'm struggling to do, if I'm honest with you, Milo, I'm struggling to see where you are different to Fuentes, other than you speak in a posh English accent. I mean, you basically agreed with everything he's been saying, while saying I don't agree with him.
No, I mean, I think there's a big difference between somebody who is leaning into animosity and hatred of others, and somebody who is observing it happening, sympathetic about the origins, and lamenting the fact.
Okay, what else we got here? Milo's defense of Fuentes.
I think it's strange. I'm confused as to why you seem so anxious to suggest that we're identical. It's quite.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just as you were defending him over.
He's saying you're the same.
The misogyny, defending him over the anti-Semitism, defending him over the racism. I just began to conclude that although you're saying it in a different way, and obviously I was being ironic, I myself speak in a English accent. But it seemed to me that you were going out of your way to defend things which I thought were pretty deplorable in that interview.
Well, I'm trying to understand where these guys are coming from, because there's a lot of them. There's a whole generation of them. And if we simply write them off as racist, sexist, misogynist pigs, we'll lose them. And we'll lose them to people like Nick Fuentes. And I take the view that it would be better to understand what of their package of opinions has validity and what does not. Understand where some of their anxieties and concerns are coming from, figure out what we can fix, and try to rescue a generation that seems to me to be sliding into nihilism and hatred of everybody. Isn't that a good thing?
Well, I mean, look, if we expand it, if you look at someone like Ye, you represent him, I think, right? You work with him still.
Yes, I manage the lawyers, and I run this family office. Yeah.
And again, I would simply say this is a guy who, on the record, I would have asked him this if he hadn't walked out of our last interview to get him to explain why he said these things. But only 3 years ago, literally 3 years ago this month, he praised Hitler, denied the Holocaust. I love Jewish people, but I also love Nazis. I do love Hitler. He posted an image of a swastika fused within.
Yeah, but now Kanye, I wonder what happened to Kanye. Did they put him back on medication? So he's apologized to the Jews. He was like on his hands and knees and apologizing. Let me see. Kanye West's apology. He was on his hands and knees groveling. I'm sorry. Apology. They must have really upped his dose or something, because he doesn't seem like the type of person to apologize. They did something. Maybe they replaced him. Maybe he got cloned and shit, or they flipped the switch. MK Ultra switch, switch, whatever.
Sit here with you today and just.
What the hell? They got a brain and shit.
I was dealing with some various issues, and dealing with bipolar also.
Damn, bipolar and everything else. What are they going to do? End him or something?
So it would take
Job for 9. Thank you so much. Housewives of Mar-a-Lago. I can't with you, Mel. It took me a while to update the thumbnail. I was working on a thumbnail while we were streaming. Because I'm like, I don't know, I always want to try to do something nice, but I don't have time sometimes, so I'll do it while I'm streaming. Housewives of Mar-a-Lago. Honestly, I thought the episode was going to be better. It was kind of tamed. I guess because he didn't have them talking with each other. It was just like one-on-one sections. I thought it was going to be fire, man. He should bring on the whole group of people. Bring Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes. I don't know if Erica would do it. Probably not, but Erica. I said Erica from it? Nick Fuentes, Erica. Who else? I guess Tim Pool and whoever else.
The idea.
But an open panel, let them hash it out.
And having taken it to an extreme where I would forget about the protection of the people around me and myself. So I wanted to come and take accountability. Sometimes people aren't that knowledgeable about the bipolar and the cause or what causes it and the way you act when you have this disease.
So yeah, that was the big apology. And I saw someone in the chat. Yeah, I do believe he does have bipolar. I dated somebody that was like really bipolar. I was like, holy shit. You could tell when they weren't taking their meds. Sometimes they take it, sometimes they wouldn't. And I think that, like, you know, when they're high, when they're up, they're up. It's like the best time of the world. Like they're just so happy. They're complimenting you, loving you, everything, sex all the time. Everything, love bombing you, all kinds of shit. It's crazy. But when they're down, oh shit, they're down. They're crazy, lunatic, psychotic, don't want to be talked to, might attack you, might physically attack you. Go nuts. And they don't like to take the meds because they want to stay high. They want to be on that crazy bipolar high.
A Star of David, which led to a second suspension from X for incitement to violence, and so on. Right, he then produced a song called Heil Hitler, which was banned from many platforms and so on.
This is that song was kind of fire, though.
Of Jewish,
I mean, it's not a, you know what I'm saying, but the song was like
manner possible. Again, I just ask you: are you comfortable
the song was a banger,
working
but
for him
I'm happy to,
with that?
Well, of course I'm comfortable. I mean, he's an extraordinary human being. I mean, there's a perfectly good explanation for that, which he has given a number of times. You can find it plausible or implausible, as the case may be. But the way he explained it, and he did this on a live stream, it's readily available. He said, I want to...
Jibber, that guy that called the sheriff's office, he called the wrong sheriff's office. And somebody else called the correct place, and they confirmed it.
...to perform Heil Hitler at the Grammys, because if I do that, those words will suddenly no longer have power. I will have conquered them. I will have drained them of all of their, I forget the expression he used, but I suppose I would say something, you know, all of their, their toxic, hateful, or taboo energy, or whatever. The way he was articulating his artistic project in doing that, and some people will find it persuasive and some won't, was that was in terms of, you know, like abuse survivors. We used to laugh at them 10 years ago when they had trigger warnings and safe spaces and, little puppy rooms and stuff like that, because everybody knows that if you get raped or something terrible happens to you, the best way to put your life back together is exposure therapy, so that it doesn't become this sort of thing that, that turns you into a blubbering mess every time you hear about it for the rest of your life. You just slowly kind of acclimatize back and get used to it. Ye seemed to be taking a similar view about some words, phrases, and opinions that have had a stranglehold on our culture for a long time. And it's funny, he perhaps hasn't read, the Holocaust in American Life by Peter Novick, the Princeton academic who.
All right, it sounds like a bunch of yah to me. But the one thing I noticed too with Nick Fuentes when he did his interview with Piers Morgan, he didn't deny the 6 million with Jews. And I just thought that was interesting because I thought this guy was always questioning or denying it or whatever. And now he's like, no, it's 6 million and more. I'm not saying I ever questioned it, but it seemed to me like he switched up, or unless I missed something, I was like, what? I thought the whole thing was this guy was questioning. He was running on that for a long time. Now he's on this Piers Morgan national broadcast and no, 6 million and more. I've always said that. Oh, what? Well, he didn't say I always said that, but he came across like he's always said that.
Explains how that particular historical event was sort of rebooted in the
I
Academy
love
in the
Jewish
1960s.
people. I was like, what? That's not the message that I thought you were putting out for years.
Basis of modern, what we would call grievance culture and victimhood ideology that became BLM. But Ye sort of seemed to instinctively intuit that this was being weaponized and leveraged to stop people talking about other things like Israel, for instance, or other things like the fact that one particular group of people seemed to be all the managers in the entertainment industry, and they were systematically defrauding and screwing the black entertainers that they were managing. I mean, he's entitled to that view. He's entitled to that observation. And if it's right that his intention was to take this
all right, man. Nobody's even really talking about Kanye. Why is Kanye being brought up in this shit? We're talking about Charlie Kirk and all this bullshit drama that's happening now.
Construe from it that his father made decisions when Nick Fuentes was young, which appeared to be racist decisions. And I was curious whether he felt he was a product of that environment. Now, he went nuts about that, and he's perfectly entitled to. And he's come after me and my family. If he's perfectly entitled to do all that, I don't care. But I was curious why you felt that I was playing gotcha with him and not just actually, I think, doing my job as a journalist and just challenging him about the more contentious things that he said.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I don't think you challenged him on the most contentious things. And by the way, it's not an impugnment of your character. It's a different interviewing style, right? I think that trying to shame someone like Nick Fuentes for being racist, for being a misogynist, like that's a layup for him. He's already been accused of that, and I don't think it's very fruitful. I mean, I don't want to conflate gotcha with challenging. So I would say, by the way, yeah, if he's going after your family, Nick Fuentes, if you're watching, strongly condemn that from your audience if anything is happening out of line. But I also would say, when the guy makes a good point and says, hey, you know what, my dad's not here to defend himself, could we move on from that? Don't do it 6 more times. But I counted 6 times, and you're not able to get to where you actually have disagreements. See, when I sat down with Nick, and yeah, I played his clips back. People could argue that it was tedious, but I would play a 1.5-minute clip, a 2-minute clip, because I wanted to show it in context. And I was able to actually lay out, we were actually able to contrast our policy, our prescription differences, where people know. And so I think if you go after, father being racist, I don't even know that you would construe his father's being racist because he doesn't like Applebee's. No one likes Applebee's. No one likes Olive Garden.
Hang on. That's not what he...
That's No, Nick was saying that suppose his father was like, there's certain place you don't want to go to because it's black people or something.
He said, he literally told the story that his father didn't like that particular restaurant chain or others because they were known for black fare.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Well, that's racist.
Black fare? What if people don't like black fare as far as food? What if people don't want to be somewhere where they're more likely to end up in a World Star hip hop video? This is where we get to the issue of you and him discussing per capita.
That part is true.
Right, let me ask you this. Like you're a Catholic. We were talking about this. You said you'd be happy to talk about it. What do you think is going to be fruitful in attacking a celibate Catholic for not getting laid?
I didn't attack him.
You're driving people into his arms.
I didn't attack him.
He said he needs to get laid.
I think he does.
That's a heresy.
I think he does. I think he's an incel.
So I advocate heresy.
I think he's,
I think today, man, I think like it's cool. It's the whole that he's a virgin. I mean, I said in a different live too. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I mean, I'm surprised he's creeping on almost 30 now. He's 20. How old is he? He's 27 years old. I think it like conquer the world, do what you have to do career wise. Like he's doing good. Seems like even with all the controversy, he's really growing and amassed a really huge audience. And sometimes a woman get in the way. They do, man. I mean, not saying not all women have to be like that, but it's just harder when you have a family or kids and stuff like that. And you're trying to. So he's 27. He still has a lot of time. The only thing is, man, I hope that he doesn't get blown away by the first time he has sex. It might be over, man. He might start doing less streams. He's gonna have to start bringing the girlfriend on stream. Everything goes downhill. He might lose himself in the pee. I don't know. And is it true? Is it really a virgin? Is he just saying he's a virgin? Maybe is it really? Maybe he is. I don't know. I don't know because I think he's in Chicago, right? Me, like I I think I was 17. Yeah, my first time. But I used to initially think like, oh, you know, I'm going to save it for a special person and blah, blah, blah. I was like naive. And then I moved to Florida and I was like, fuck that. You're going to waste my, you know. So it is what it is, I guess. But I don't know. Yeah, 28 creeping on 30. I don't think it's like a horrible thing. I understand what Piers Morgan was saying. Maybe if he was saying it as a joke, like, yo, you need to get laid. You know, say with people, you're angry, you're upset, you hate these people, you hate women or whatever. Maybe you just need to get laid, bro. But
perfectly understand if you're a devout Catholic, which I'm not. If you're a devout, I was brought up a Catholic and I was given spiritual guidance by Catholic nuns, and a lot of my family are very devout Catholics. I'm not particularly, but I still adhere to, broadly adhere to Catholicism, albeit there are parts of the teachings I don't agree with. So that's my position on it. But I can understand if he'd said to me, the reason I've never had
sex. Then why
sex,
bring it up, Piers? Why is it relevant whether he's been late or not? Because I said in my interview specifically, just so you know, I'll answer.
Well, the thing with when he asked him if you're gay, I understand why Piers brought that up, because there was this whole video that for a while people thought it was freaking Destiny and Nick Fuentes having oral sex. Some video came out. They thought it was him. And people have speculated for a long time that maybe he's gay or something. Maybe that's why he's not having sex or whatever. You know, maybe maybe he's gay and he doesn't want to, according to his beliefs, sin. And so, well, if I don't have sex, I don't have sex. And that's what it is. That's what Milo's doing. I think Milo was or is gay or something like that, was having sex with men. And then he said he's not anymore, I guess. And so now he's just practicing abstinence. I feel like relationships, if it's unhealthy, can really get in the way of you coming up and blowing up and all kinds of shit. Some women are treacherous too. And then when you got a following, it's like you got to be careful who you date. It's like you're more paranoid. Is this chick recording me and shit? Taking pictures? There's so many things that can compromise you. And it's a liability. It is a liability too. To date, and especially have a following like him, it's a liability. Hey, sis. So I understand why he asked the question. I thought it was funny when he asked it.
Answer for everything I say. When I interviewed him, I said, I hate it when people use something that should be seen as a virtue as an attack. Out of all the views, if you view them as reprehensible, and I, by the way, strongly disagree with a lot of Nick's views, the least relevant is whether he's celibate as a devout Catholic.
Oh, he did have that video too. So there was a video, Nick Fuentes. So there's the thing too. It didn't just come out of thin air, the gay thing, or just his crossed legs in that picture. What the hell is this? That is so weird. Okay. Lives of TikTok. There was one time he thought he ended a stream and there was like porn playing in the background. Gay porn. And, but he said that his stream was hacked or something. That's what he said. So I don't know, bro. Yeah, it came from that too.
AI and VR, it's going to be literally the greatest thing man has ever created. Not to sound like a complete gooner, but objectively, that's just going to be true. Deal with it, fucking liberal. When sex robots with like VR, AR, augmented reality, and AI, it's literally going to be the only profit-making thing that AI does besides defense. It's going to be porn and sex. And when that happens, women are fucked. When that happens, number one, it's going to be the best thing ever. Number two, women are going to be fucked because everybody's going to prefer it. Then we got to cut their welfare and they'll come crawling back. Oh, day of the sex robot is coming. It will not arrive soon enough.
They have shows, like movies I've seen based off like robots, and the robot falls in love, or the guy falls in love with the robot, and then the wife is jealous or whatever, and the robot's out competing the wife, and the robot wants to kill the wife.
Sex robots, bring them forth, because you know what's going to happen? You know what? Guys already prefer pornography. Then when the pornography steps out of the digital and into the real with sex robots, AR, AI-enhanced pornography, man, women are going to be fucked. Because we're not going to have to put up with their bullshit.
My God. I mean, you haven't dated though, or I don't know if he's dated or not, but he's a virgin. You don't have to deal with relationships and stuff. But I don't know if I have. Oh, here's the video. I can't even. Yeah, it's like, yeah. So yeah, he had some type of live feed going on, and his stream, I guess he thought it was ended, but some porn was playing in the background. But he said it was hacked or something through the website. So I don't know. So the gay question is not like a crazy question, really.
That's like a good thing, and so you actually gave him the
Subservient,
real
but
background. He
actually,
says, "Hey,
had he said
my
to me,
dad out of it."
Yeah, but hang on, you're putting up a better defense.
I think I watched that. Subservience?
Suggest than he did, because had he said to me, "I'm a devout Catholic, and the reason I haven't had sex is because the Catholic Church forbids that and says you should be married."
Oh, subservience, yeah, that was dope. I remember with Megan Fox. Subservience. I'll take care of you, honey. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Doesn't she like replace? What was the whole story behind that? When the wife becomes sick, a struggling father buys a lifelike AI android named Alice to help with the housework. Things seem fine until Alice suddenly becomes self-aware and wants everything its new family has to offer, including affection from the owner. Oh, Alice. That's on Netflix. You want to check it out if you're bored and stuff. Hello, I'll rub your back.
Before you have sex. Perfectly reasonable answer. That's not what he said. He never said that at all.
So you didn't do your research, because he said that literally dozens of times.
He may have said it elsewhere. He didn't say it to me. I only asked him about that stuff because there is a view that he is what they call an incel, and that he whips up that kind of mentality, and that's why he's such a misogynist about women and so on. It's an interesting thing to ask him. He seemed to me quite happy to answer it all. He was quite emphatic in his answers. Fine. I didn't see that as an attack. I was joking about getting laid because it seems to me he's a very angry guy.
Can I jump in for a second here?
Yeah.
Because this is where I think this is important, right? His audience will.
Okay, I think we should shift. I like that conversation. I think Crowder's forensic interview. Let me see.
Anti-Semite, a noted anti-Semite.
No.
Okay. Clears that up. Do you believe that white people are superior to all other races on the planet?
Nick is Mexican. He's not even white. He's Mexican. Or part Mexican. I think his father's Mexican, right? Something. But I guess his skin is white.
No.
But
okay.
Whatever, I guess.
Do you want to eradicate all non-whites from the United States?
No.
Okay. Well, Barry Weiss will be very happy to hear that. No doubt she's watching. And then, because this happens a lot, right? It's Tucker did this with you. Fed. Nick Fuentes, are you in fact a Fed?
No.
A Mexican white supremacist. Let's see.
Since the end to any, that was my question, and your
members, close family members to Stalin and to Hitler.
Sure.
And Nick Fuentes' response was to mock him and then to unleash his groypers on this guy who've been now mercilessly abusing and mocking him about the loss of his family members to Stalin and Hitler for the last 48 hours. Now, you might think that's acceptable, or that somehow I didn't push that hard enough.
This is why legacy media is dying. You can't compete. Look, guys like Nick, guys like Andrew Wilson on your show, they've come up. I mean that you were at CNN, HLN for a very long time, and you're still following the same format. And so there, accusing someone young of being racist is a win. But with people who've grown up being accused of racism, of misogyny their whole life, they don't give a shit. And so you should get to the point where you can actually understand. Here's the one thing I would say that would help. Listen. You weren't listening to the guy, so you're not even able to lay out where you disagree. And you're.
Well, some people were saying that Steven Crowder was handing Nick Fuentes easy catch, easy throws or whatever, because he wants to scoop it on his audience. The gropers, Nick Fuentes, they're growing huge. They've really. I mean, look at that. Now I'm prime time now. Matt Walsh had some words to say. Let's pivot a little bit away from this. Matt Walsh had some, well, kind of, not really. It's the same topic, but some words to say. I think with the Candace Owens situation and Charlie Kirk and all this.
And it was clear to me then, and has become all the more clear to me since, as I've gotten to know her more, that this is somebody with an immense amount of strength and courage.
Oh, Erica.
So when people look at Erica and say she's acting strange, I've never seen a grieving person act this way. Well, I agree. She's an exceptional person. in an extraordinary situation, handling it with remarkable poise and dignity. That is a virtue. And virtue is a strange thing in our day. And even if she were not an impressive person, she would still be a grieving widow. She would still be my friend's wife. And I would still feel duty-bound to support her, as I have over these past 3 months in ways both public and not. So what I am asking everybody, including Candace, is to please leave this woman alone. Let her grieve. Let her pick up the pieces.
Let's get the balls to say Candace. I mean, I don't know if they get along or not. Because Megyn Kelly kind of addressed the conspiracy stuff, but she didn't mention Candace Owens at all. I think she's a lot of these people, and I think it's what Tim Pool said. He's like, oh, these conservatives are calling me, and they're telling me, oh, good job, man, standing up. But then they don't say shit on their platform. They just text him on the side quietly. Hey, you're doing a good job, man. Thank you.
Leave this woman alone. Let her grieve. Let her pick up the pieces of her shattered life in whatever way she sees fit. She deserves that grace. And we owe it to her. Not because of any specific debt, not because we have no right to question her. Of course, we do have the right. But we have a moral obligation as children of our Heavenly Father to be charitable and kind towards suffering widows, especially the widow of a man that all of us on the right say that we respected and admired. All told, the tragic reality is that 3 months after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the leftists who want us dead are more emboldened than ever. They are thrilled. And that was always the worst possible outcome. It's a trajectory that, if it continues, could destroy not only what Charlie built, but also what's left of the conservative movement, a movement that is the only thing standing between Western civilization and the forces that wish to tear it down brick by brick. That's the reason. So
That's crazy. Megyn Kelly apparently released, like, she came out with a 14-minute video, but this is, I guess, the short version. She never mentions Candace, but I guess she's kind of calling it out without saying Candace.
I'm a sane person who understands the law. I also know that the FBI, does not run around updating its investigation and releasing the very latest on what they found. And people who are demanding that the FBI or DOJ do so do not know anything about law enforcement. Some of us have been covering in depth legal cases and matters and have even tried cases and matters for years. That is how I have spent the past 30 years of my life, plus trying cases involved in the legal system as a trial attorney, then a Supreme Court correspondent covering cases, civil and criminal, then as a legal correspondent for Fox News, legal commentator for Fox News, and ever thereafter. And let me tell you something. The FBI does not run around updating its information after somebody gets indicted. It doesn't. It would be extraordinary if it were to do so. And the DOJ is extremely tight-lipped, normally, on its criminal cases. When it's not, it's behaving inappropriately. When it's not, you have rogue prosecutors who wasn't with the DOJ, Tish James, but like her, the Attorney General of New York, running around trying to update her case against Donald Trump, or Fannie Willis shooting her mouth off about Donald Trump.
Fannie Willis. Tucker Carlson posted some video too, and I thought his response was so whack. I was like, what the why even post this shit? I'm going to post the video later, my reaction to it. I just don't even post the video then. It's just like, I guess some of these people are want to seem like they're being decent and sticking up for Charlie and claiming they're his friends and don't say shit until now. I mean, I don't know. It's just bullshit.
Now, I made it very clear that there's only two people who would stop me from doing this. One would be my husband. And
Candace Owens. Let's watch this.
No, I made it very clear that there's only two people who would stop me from doing this. One would be my husband, and the other is Erica Kirk.
What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it.
Yeah, I'm
That's
looking
all I
at
have
his
to say.
face.
Stop.
Okay, I don't know what people are taking from this. I know what I heard when I heard her say that. I heard her say, stam. People think she said stop. I didn't hear a P. I didn't hear a P at all. I heard her say stam, stam, which is actually a Hebrew word, which is interesting. I find that interesting. She's using Zionist coded language. Now, the word stam, if you dig deeper, actually means just kidding. Just kidding. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. And I find it interesting that Erica's using Zionist coded language. Why is she using Hebrew? Why is she using that? I think we all know why. So she's saying, stam, just kidding. Keep going, Candace. It's so obvious. It's so obvious, you guys. It's so obvious. It's so obvious. She's signaling to me that she wants me to continue. And if you think she actually said stop, how do we know that she wasn't just quoting stop in the name of love by the Supremes? Stop in the...
Oh, my God. Apparently, too, James O'Keefe went undercover. You're not going to believe this. James O'Keefe went undercover as himself and removed his glasses to reveal who he is. You believe this shit? Look at this.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I actually am James O'Keefe.
Are you?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not. I'm not James O'Keefe.
Are you not?
I am.
Really?
Yes. And you don't know that...
Where you going? Come on. Oh, shit. Look again. Oh, he busted his ass.
Well,
I wanted to see. I don't know what the story was about. I saw there was a full video somewhere. I don't know who this was that got exposed, but damn, undercover as himself. Dumb. Candace Owens apparently too had said. Candace Owens has said. Breaking news: the United States will suffer a 9/11 style attack within 2 days, according to Candace Owens. Candace revealed on November 27th that they have been signaling that a 9/11 style attack is coming the second week of December. Uh-oh. Save this tweet. It will age well. So she's doing prophecies now. So that's coming. You guys be aware of that. Be careful. It's coming. People are afraid. Another thing, I thought this was hilarious. Let me see if I can find it. Ian Carroll, guy that's been doing investigative journalism, the independent journalist Ian Carroll is going viral after questioning why. Why was Erica given Charlie Kirk's cell phone? It's worth noting that in most cases, the police download the data and return the device to the family. Well, the other thing, too, is that Charlie Kirk is not the suspect. He's the victim. He was shot and killed. What the fuck? Ding, 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 ding. He's an idiot. Wow. Oh, there was another thing too. Did I lose it? That was one other thing. Where did I have that? Oh man, Candace. This is a good show. I used to watch this aliens thing, the ancient aliens. And the Egyptians were actually flying these planes. I'm not saying it was the Macrons, but wow, love it. That has to go on a thumbnail. Yes, the Macrons. Oh, this was the full episode. That guy that ran and got, he said, I work with stupid white people. That's what that guy said. Jonathan Franklin is a professor at Georgetown University. Okay. James O'Keefe exposed this guy, I guess. Interesting. Candace. Let me see. Anything else? I'm going to do another sweep. I'm happy it's Friday, man. Happy it's Friday. Happy the holiday, the winter break is coming. Christmas, holidays, times. Let me get the spicy juice, all this drama, toxic shit. Oh, man, I gotta post this clip. There's 2 clips I gotta post because this shit was crazy. And by the way, the poll in the chat, Bridget Macron, woman or man? 58% say man. 42% say woman. Wow. Tom Smith says, Mel, I hate to say it, but you need to find a job. YouTube isn't working out for you, bud. Why do you say that? I think I'm doing pretty well. What the fuck? Go get a job. Looks like you're struggling. Do I look like I'm fucking struggling? Bro, maybe you need a job. Saying that as he's watching me. Oh, you're struggling, Mel. I think you're gonna get a job, man. I'm not doing that. Unless things go really bad one day or something, never say never, but I'm not going back. I already did my time, man. I worked 40 hours. I worked double shifts, 16 hours. I slaved away. And I got very lucky and I'm blessed. The fuck would I go back? You crazy? What? What? Let's see. I think that's it. Let's see if there's anything else. Sound like my mother. Mama! Mama, go back. Go get off the chat, Mama. Sound like my mother. Get out here, Mama. I guess that's it. I guess that's it for now.
Assassination, and I've sat back quietly and watched all of these different reactions. I've seen conservative commentators and influencers post screenshots of texts with Charlie as a way to inflate their proximity to him, as a way to aggrandize themselves. I've also seen deranged lunatics on the left cheer on his assassination attempt and make jokes and memes, which I find soulless and demonic. Now, one person who
Madable, thank you so much for the 25 months.
Into the conversation is, of course, Candace Owens. Candace Owens has couched herself as this crusader of truth, and she's doing something in the public interest. She's apparently going to be the one to crack the case on Tyler Robinson and Charlie Kirk, somehow sitting behind her laptop at home. Now, you guys know I am a free speech absolutist, and tons of you enjoy Candace Owens. You tune in for the entertainment value, and I used to see clips of Candace Owens and think, man, this girl is spot on when it comes to the nuclear family, faith, when it comes to woke ideology and getting that out of schools. I thought Candace Owens makes some darn good points. But since Charlie Kirk's assassination, Candace Owens has been very hard to follow. She'll say one thing on a Monday, then something totally contradictory on a Tuesday with no through line whatsoever. And we're supposed to be like Men in Black, erase our brains, have amnesia, and forget any of that happened. And a lot of podcasters and influencers are like that, if we're going to be honest. They say whatever they have to say each day to get the most amount of views, and they just hope that the audience doesn't care what happened the day before, and they're tuning in with their popcorn to watch the show. But what I find really tragic about Candace Owens as it pertains to Charlie Kirk, his assassination, Erica Kirk, is that she can't see her own hypocrisy, right? She can see all the little issues with everybody else. She can put everybody else under a microscope, but she can't see the glaring billboard in front of her, which is that there's this underlying implication in all of Candace Owens' content right now that she is more invested in having justice for Charlie and finding the truth than Erica Kirk, his grieving wife, the mother of his children, Turning Point, his own friends and family. And that is just ludicrous and asinine to anybody on planet Earth. There is no reasonable person who believes Erica Kirk is not cooperating with local, state, federal authorities. I'm sure they have their own people behind the scenes following leads. Candace Owens, in my opinion, has not been additive to actually having justice whatsoever for Charlie. I've also spoken to so many women since Charlie Kirk's assassination, moms whose husbands went away to war and didn't come back, and they were left raising the kids solo. They tell me all
crazy, man. The Candace Owens trilogy, the Candace Owens saga, the never ending, will it end? Will it stop? I don't know. Probably not until she finds something else. The next big thing, I think. I guess that's it for now. The night is still young. I'll be back if anything pops off. We've been very active on the second page and on the main page, very active. And on Rumble. So I'll catch you guys later. Appreciate you. Have a good night. Be safe. I'm sure something else will probably pop off tonight. I'm sure something will come up. All right. Take care. Peace. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Bloop. The freaks come out.